Are you going to be able to keep yourself busy while I am gone? Don't I always? Karen and I are planning on hitting Redinger's and Green Dragon this week. I hope you have enough on the credit card to handle it. As long as you stay away from diamonds, emeralds, and rubies, we should be all right. We got a little laugh at that. Now that our children had grown up, we were enjoying our newfound freedom as empty nesters. Marcia was a non-worker. We talked about her maybe working after the kids went home, but she didn't show up with any work. She was content to simply maintain the house and frequent flea markets and yard sales. There were thousands of e-books on her Kindle. Her friend, Karen, collected cookie cutters, trivets, and flat irons. Marcia was only interested in old jewelry. She had a large hand-carved walnut chest that she kept all her treasures in. The value was not in the gemstones, but the design and craftsmanship of the pieces. She did a lot of research and knew what she was doing. The chest was the most important thing in her life. Each piece had its history. This week I was in Albuquerque. It was a routine trip and everything was on schedule. It was Tuesday evening and I was waiting for a table at the Holiday Inn Express. "Excuse me? Are you eating alone?" It was another clone. He dressed like me, he looked like me, and he acted like me. All traveling businessmen are clones. Yeah, as usual. Would you care to join me? Absolutely. Kevin Martin, Kelso Plastics. I took his hand. John Terrell, Nielsen Machine. We chatted lightly while perusing the menu. How long are you here for Kevin? Short trip this time. I fly back to Philly in the morning. I like it when I can get finished early. Interesting. I am out of Philly also, but I'm afraid I will have to finish out the week. What do you do, John? I sell, install, and maintain candy-making equipment. I work out of King of Prussia for a company in the Netherlands. Do you like it? Yeah, I make a good living. Put 2 kids through school and have a nice place in Westchester. Damn! What a coincidence. I live in Downingtown. Hell, we're neighbors and I had to go to New Mexico to meet you. You married, Kevin? No. I've been widowed for about 10 years, but I do have a steady girlfriend. Yourself? Married 23 years and looking for 23 more. Oh, John. Let me show you what I found today. My girl collects fancy jewelry. Every trip I make, I bring something back for her. I went a little overboard this time, but it is quite nice. I suddenly became very interested in what he had to show me. He pulled a purple Crown Royal bag from his jacket pocket and carefully dumped a silver squash blossom necklace on the table. It is Cirillo's turquoise, which is fairly unique. She is going to go nuts over this. It was a bit pricey, but she is worth it. Must be a pretty special lady. How long have you been with her? Almost 3 years now. Is marriage on the table here? No, that's the sad part. She's already married and doesn't seem to be interested in changing that. I'm still working on her, and maybe if I keep trying, I will get lucky. I assume you two have been intimate. Yeah, for 2 years now. We are even able to squeeze in a few overnighters occasionally. Her husband is okay with this? Heavens no. She is scared to death that he is going to find out. I guess that is what makes the relationship so exciting. Kevin, you are a braver man than I am. I could never do something like that. Believe me, she is worth it. Kevin and I finished our meals and said our goodbyes. He never made the connection between me and his girlfriend. I didn't ask for his card because I didn't want to give him mine. I flew the red-eye home Friday. Marcia did the grocery shopping Saturday morning, so she wasn't there when I got in. I unpacked from my trip, and just on a whim, I decided to check the jewelry box. It had 3 drawers in the front and a lift-up lid. Underneath the bottom drawer was a false bottom. The squash blossom necklace was still wrapped in the Crown Royal bag, carefully tucked into the secret place. Along with it was a beautiful emerald-cut ruby ring that I had never seen before. I put everything back just as Marcia walked in the door. There was no doubt that as soon as Marcia saw me, she knew. Neither one of us said anything other than the usual glad to be home, glad to have you home banter. I spent the morning catching up with yard work, and the afternoon catching up with my sleep. Marcia stayed out of my way the whole day. The supper was Chinese takeout. I ask her how her flea market hunting went, and she asks how my New Mexico trip was. We both lied to each other. It was an uneventful evening in front of the TV. Sunday morning, Marcia said she was going to visit our eldest daughter, Claire, in Allentown. I was going to clean the garage. I didn't get the garage cleaned, but I did get all of the finances straightened out. To keep the girls from having to burden themselves with too many college loans, we refinanced the house. It was now underwater. Arranging everything else was no problem. I spent the evening inspecting and reevaluating my wardrobe. I was mentally preparing for something, but I didn't know what. Before going to bed, I checked the jewelry chest again. The necklace and the ring were gone. I was asleep in front of the TV when Marcia got home. She covered me with a quilt and went to bed by herself. I made the drive to King of Prussia in a daze. Luckily, I had driven it so many times over the last 15 years that it was like I was on autopilot. I finished all my paperwork concerning the Albuquerque trip and headed up to the main office. 30 minutes later, I had a reassignment to Scheveningen. The home office was anxious to get me. I would be heading up the Manuals and Publications division. I probably could have done the job here in the States, but I could do it better there. I had a week before I would leave. My actual workload for the rest of the week was light. All I had to do was bring my replacement up to speed and close out all my old projects. At home, I spend most of the evenings on my computer. Normally, I would have to justify overtime work to the wife, but now she didn't seem to care. It was not commented on. On a few nights, we did watch TV together, but that was about it. I was dreading a confrontation of some type, but it never came. It was an interesting situation. She knew that I knew what she was doing. I knew what she was doing and knew that she knew I knew, and yet neither of us would talk about it. Oddly enough, I didn't care. I wasn't angry. I spent Wednesday afternoon at the lawyer's office. I was giving Marcia the house and half of the savings and checking accounts. The total of everything was just over $20,000. If she sold the house, the real estate commission would eat up all of the equity. I figured that she could keep the house if she could get Kevin to move in with her. If he didn't move in with her, it would probably go back to the bank. I would not let her have any of my IRA or any claim to my company retirement plan. I was shocked that I was able to maintain my composure in the face of all of this. I wasn't resentful, vindictive, or angry. I was rather relieved. I'm not sure why. Still, I felt the need for a little indulgence in evil. My plane was leaving out of Philly early Monday morning. I arranged for my brother, Carl, to come down from Pottsville to take me to the airport Sunday evening. I was planning on treating them to supper at the airport Marriott. I reserved 2 rooms so that we could all stay overnight. Thursday, Marcia told me she was going to Lancaster with Karen to hit some antique shops. It gave me time to finish my packing and preparations. I was extremely selective, so unless she was very curious, she would never notice that I was leaving. She never asked me why I wasn't at work. They had a goodbye party for me at work on Friday. It was nice to feel appreciated. Marcia and I went to Red Lobster Friday night. The tension was still there, but we managed to get through the meal. Still no confrontation on either side. Saturday, Marcia did her regular shopping, and I started working on the lawn. It would be the last time. So I figured out how I could make it last the whole day. I didn't stop for lunch. My wife brought me a cold beer and a sandwich. After a light supper, I fell asleep on the recliner. Sunday morning, Marcia left early to spend the day with our youngest daughter, Lena, in Lebanon. It was time to finalize everything. Carl and his wife, Norma, showing up just after noon. I loaded all my stuff and then brought down Masha's treasured jewelry chest. The squash blossom necklace and the ruby ring were still missing. Carl would keep the box at his place until I told him otherwise. Just before leaving, I called Kevin Martin. Kevin! Hi, this is John Terrell. How are you doing? There was a momentary pause. Fine, John. Yourself? Kevin, I just wanted to give you a quick update on the Cub Cadet lawn tractor. It's a bit old, but still runs well most of the time. If you have a hard time starting it, just take out the plugs and give them a cleaning. It should be good to go then. You shouldn't have problems with anything else. Okay, John, why are you telling me this? Just trying to help. I gotta go, Kevin. Have a good weekend. Carl and Norma couldn't help laughing. John, what the hell was that? Was that the same guy who is screwing your wife? Sure was. Can you imagine the conversations that phone call will generate? This is going to be fun. Monday morning, bright and early, I was off to my new home and grinning all the way. I still couldn't figure out why I wasn't upset about the whole situation. I thought it was all a bit funny. As the wheels of the plane broke ground, I felt a big relief sweep over my body. In no time, I was up and running in my new Scheveningen office. I rented a small cottage in Wassenaar and was riding a new 10-speed bike to and from work. The company arranged for my new driver's license, but I preferred the bike. If the weather was bad, I could take the bus. After 2 weeks, I called Carl. I didn't know who else to contact. John, Marcia was upset, of course, but I got the feeling she had been anticipating something. Things had been tense the last few weeks before I left. We never talked about it, but we both knew it was coming. When did you talk to her? She called me last Tuesday. I think she was looking for her jewelry box, but she didn't come right out and say so. She kept ranting on about you having to call her to straighten things out. She got the divorce papers and got a lawyer to look them over. They are going to make a counteroffer or something like that. I know that she said she didn't want the house. I have previously signed a power of attorney with my lawyer, allowing her to sell it or return it to the bank. I don't want or expect anything to come of it, so I don't care. I'll ask him to forward it to her attorney. It was a funny conversation that we had. She didn't apologize or anything and didn't seem to feel the need to defend what she did, at least not to me. I didn't detect any guilt or remorse. I thought breakups like this were supposed to be highly emotional affairs. You two are a pair of cold fish. Carl, I can't explain it. I don't understand myself. Oh, one last thing. She did say that there was no way she would agree to the divorce until she gets her jewelry back. If you get to speak to her again, tell her that there is no way she will get her jewelry back until the divorce is final. Needless to say, the divorce proceedings did not go well. We fought over the terms for 6 months. She wanted half of my IRA and half of my company retirement. She wanted me to pay the mortgage on the house that she refused to sell or move out of. She wanted alimony, big alimony. What pissed her off was that I refused to give back her jewelry, and that Kevin Martin had decided that there was too much drama and decided to move on. I had avoided any contact with my daughters since the whole thing started. I decided it was time to call Claire. Dad, Lena, and I spent a whole weekend with Mom. She told us everything. We understand why you left, and neither of us blames you for any of this. She is a total wreck, but she is too proud to let you know that. She doesn't want the house. She is being a bitch about the divorce because she doesn't want it at all. We convinced her that it was inevitable, but she is having a hard time accepting that. What can I do? I am not going back to the way things were. I don't think anybody expects that. She is lost, however, since her boyfriend seemed to disappear. She has no job skills and no prospects for employment. She is not making the mortgage payments and is having to go through the money you left her just to keep the utilities on. Lena has offered to let her move in with her temporarily. You have to throw her a bone, Dad. It was not difficult for the lawyer to arrange with the bank to take back the house. It cost me a few grand, but it was worth it. Carl contacted 2 men and a truck and had Marcia moved to Lebanon before the end of the week. The biggest problem was the excess furniture that he ended up having to sell off for pennies on the dollar. I agreed to provide Marcia with fair alimony, and she dropped all the other crap demands. The final sticking point was the return of her precious jewelry chest. I agreed to it, but only with one final stipulation. After paying a hefty VAT fee, I was able to claim the last package that I would ever get from my wife. I carefully unwrapped it as I sat on my back patio. Inside the Purple Crown Royal bag was the beautiful squash blossom necklace. I didn't need it or want it, but I felt it was symbolic. I spread it out on the table in front of me and picked up my phone. Carl, give Marcia her jewelry chest back. What's your opinion about OP? Thanks for joining us in our stories where revenge is served hot. Please consider subscribing to our channel to ensure your next chef remains loyal. Tune in for the next one to get your revenge appetite fulfilled. If you're below 18, hold on, it's not for the faint-hearted.